Some people died without ever truly being identified. Some vanished and left the world chasing shadows. Some may have been frauds. Some may have been legends. And some may have hidden in plain sight the entire time. From masked prisoners and immortal counts to killers, code makers, and names no one has ever proven. These are the 10 most mysterious people in history. History remembers kings, conquerors, saints, and criminals. But every so often, it leaves behind someone different. Not just famous, not just feared, but unknowable. A face with no past, a name with no proof, a disappearance with no ending. And the more time passes, the stranger these people become. Tonight, we count down 10 figures whose identities, actions, and secrets still refuse to die. This is ENIGMANA, and these are the top 10 most mysterious people in history. Number 10. The Isdal Woman. In 1970, hikers in Norway made a terrible discovery. The burned body of a woman was found in a remote valley near Bergen. At first, it looked like a tragic death, but then the details began to surface. She had used multiple false names. She had traveled across Europe under different identities. Labels had been cut from her clothing. Items linked to disguises were found in her luggage. Wigs, strange notes, untraceable movements, and perhaps most chilling of all, no one could say with certainty who she really was. Investigators found coded writing among her belongings. Witnesses reported odd behavior. Some believed she was a spy. Others thought she was part of a covert intelligence network operating during the Cold War. But no final answer ever came. She entered history nameless, and she remains one of Europe's most haunting unidentified women. But if number 10 was a dead woman with too many identities, number 9 was a living man with almost none. Number 9. Kaspar Hauser. In 1828, a teenage boy appeared in Nuremberg, Germany, seemingly from nowhere. He could barely speak. He carried a letter, and he claimed he had been raised in isolation for most of his life. His name was Kaspar Hauser. He said he had spent his childhood in a dark cell. He knew almost nothing of the outside world. No clear family, no proven origin, no certain explanation. And almost immediately, rumors exploded. Was he a fraud? A victim? A discarded noble child? Perhaps even a hidden prince? His strange behavior fascinated Europe. His innocence unsettled people. And his story became even darker when he was later attacked. More than once. Then in 1833, Kaspar Hauser was fatally wounded under mysterious circumstances. Some said he was murdered to keep a royal secret buried. Others believed he invented much of his own legend. But nearly 2 centuries later, the question remains: who was Kaspar Hauser really? And if Kaspar Hauser may have been a hidden prince, the next man was said to be something far more impossible. Number 8. The Comte de Saint-Germain. He appeared in the courts of Europe like a man who did not belong to time. The Comte de Saint-Germain was charming, brilliant, cultured, and deeply unsettling. He spoke many languages, played the violin, discussed science, history, politics, and alchemy as if he had personally witnessed centuries unfold. And according to legend, he never seemed to age. Some believed he was a diplomat, some a spy, some an occult master. Others whispered something even stranger, that he was immortal. Stories spread that Saint-Germain had lived for far longer than any normal man should, that he possessed hidden knowledge, that he could transform metals, that he moved through Europe not as a nobleman, but as a mystery wearing human skin. Of course, historians see exaggeration, myth-making, and elite gossip, but that is the problem with Saint-Germain. The documented man was already strange. The legendary man became almost impossible. And somewhere between the two, the real Saint-Germain disappeared. But while Saint-Germain drifted through palaces and salons, the next mystery would strike from the dark and vanish into the open sky. Number 7. D.B. Cooper. On November 24, 1971, a man boarded a plane under the name Dan Cooper. He was calm, well-dressed, unremarkable, until he told a flight attendant he had a bomb. He demanded money, parachutes, and after the passengers were released, he ordered the plane back into the air. Then somewhere over the Pacific Northwest, he jumped. Into the night, into the storm, into history. The FBI launched one of the most famous manhunts in American history, but no confirmed body was found. No verified capture was made. No final identity was proven. Just fragments, suspects, theories, and one of the boldest disappearances ever recorded. Did D.B. Cooper survive the jump? Was he a trained operative, a criminal genius, or a desperate man who simply got lucky once? No one knows. And that is exactly why the legend never dies. But if D.B. Cooper disappeared after one perfect crime, the next figure may have hidden behind one of history's most terrifying names. Number 6. Jack the Ripper. In 1888, fear stalked the streets of Whitechapel. Women were murdered with a level of brutality that shocked Victorian London. And the killer, who became known as Jack the Ripper, was never conclusively identified. The case quickly turned into obsession. Letters appeared. Newspapers fed the hysteria. Police chased leads through fog, blood, and panic. And the public became trapped in a question that still survives today. Who was Jack the Ripper? A surgeon? A butcher? A madman? A gentleman? Someone close to the investigation itself? Over the years, hundreds of suspects have been proposed. Some theories are plausible, others are pure fantasy. But despite all the books, all the documentaries, and all the forensic reanalysis, the name behind the legend remains out of reach. Which means Jack the Ripper achieved something few killers ever do. He turned himself into an eternal ghost. And speaking of ghosts, the next man may not even have been one person at all. Number 5. Fulcanelli. No one knows for certain who Fulcanelli was, and that is the mystery. In the early 20th century, this name became attached to a series of writings on alchemy, sacred architecture, symbolism, and hidden transformation. The books were strange, dense, brilliant, and they seemed to come from someone with rare knowledge or extraordinary imagination. But the identity behind the name was never clearly established. Was Fulcanelli a real alchemist? A secretive scholar? A group of authors writing under one mask? Or a myth constructed around esoteric texts to make them more powerful? Some followers claimed Fulcanelli had achieved something ancient alchemists always sought: transformation of the self, mastery of hidden laws, perhaps even a form of immortality. There are stories that he vanished, that he transcended ordinary life, that he left clues, not answers. And maybe that is why Fulcanelli still fascinates, because unlike many mysteries, this one does not simply ask, who was he? It asks something more dangerous. What if he was telling the truth? But if Fulcanelli hid behind symbols and smoke, the next figure hid behind prison walls. Number 4. The Man in the Iron Mask. France, 17th century. A prisoner is moved between fortresses under extraordinary secrecy. His face is concealed, his identity is hidden, and the orders surrounding him are so strict that even speaking of him becomes dangerous. History remembers him as the Man in the Iron Mask. The mask may not truly have been made of iron, but the legend became iron anyway. Who was important enough to imprison, yet too dangerous to name? A disgraced noble? A political enemy? A secret brother of the king? A twin? A living threat to the crown itself? Writers, historians, and conspiracists have all tried to solve it, and no version has fully buried the others, because the case is irresistible. A faceless prisoner, a state secret, a hidden identity wrapped inside royal power. It feels less like history and more like a warning. But if number 4 was a mystery protected by a kingdom, number 3 was protected by mathematics. Number 3. Satoshi Nakamoto. In 2008, a name appeared online: Satoshi Nakamoto. That name introduced Bitcoin to the world, and then changed history. The figure behind it published the white paper, helped launch the system, communicated with early developers, and then gradually disappeared. No verified face, no confirmed biography, no proven identity. Just one of the most important technological creations of the modern age, left behind by someone no one can definitively name. Was Satoshi one man? A woman? A team? A government project? A cryptographic idealist? A financial revolutionary? Theories have targeted programmers, mathematicians, libertarians, and ghosts of the internet age. And yet, the mystery remains intact. Satoshi Nakamoto may be the rarest kind of modern legend, a creator whose invention became globally real, while the creator remained almost mythologically absent. But some mysteries hide behind code. The next one hid behind a code of killing. Number 2. The Zodiac Killer. In the late 1960s, a killer began taunting police and the press in Northern California. He called himself Zodiac. And unlike many murderers, he did not just want to kill. He wanted to be seen. He wanted to be feared. He wanted to turn his crimes into a puzzle. Letters arrived, symbols, threats, ciphers. Some were cracked, some remained contested, and the identity behind the name was never conclusively established. Like Jack the Ripper, the Zodiac became larger than the crimes themselves, a specter in headlines. A mind hiding behind language, a voice without a face. Suspects have been named for decades, evidence has been debated endlessly, and every few years, the mystery seems ready to collapse, only to open again. Because Zodiac understood something terrifying. If you leave behind symbols instead of certainty, people will keep chasing you forever. And the final entry may be the most haunting of all, not because of blood, not because of power, but because of silence. Number 1. The Somerton Man. In 1948, an unidentified man was found dead on Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia. He wore a suit, he carried no clear identification, and almost everything about him felt wrong. His labels had been removed, his death seemed suspicious. A tiny scrap of paper hidden in a pocket carried the Persian words, "Tamam shud," usually translated as ended. That alone would have been enough to create a legend, but the case only grew stranger. A book linked to the phrase was later found. Inside were markings that looked like code, a phone number, possible clues, possible misdirections, and no answer strong enough to end the mystery. Was he a spy? A lover? A drifter? A victim of poisoning? A man with a hidden life erased in death? For decades, investigators, codebreakers, and obsessives tried to solve it. Yet the Somerton Man remained what he had been from the start, unknown. That is what makes this case so powerful. Not that someone died mysteriously. History is full of that. But that a man could arrive dressed, composed, and seemingly deliberate, then leave behind a death so strange it still feels like a message no one has learned to read. And for that reason, the Somerton Man remains one of the most mysterious people in history. Some mysteries survive because evidence was lost. Some survive because someone was protected. And some survive because the truth was never meant to be found. A masked prisoner, an immortal count, a hijacker in the storm, a killer without a face, a dead man on a beach with a final message in his pocket. History is full of names, but sometimes its darkest power lies in the people it could never fully explain. Which one do you think is the most mysterious? And which case do you think the world still has a chance to solve? This is ENIGMANA, where mystery is never truly buried. And some names become more powerful the longer they remain unanswered.